Cool. Yeah, let's start. Hey, Bog, how about we have you talk about the ACYC side real quick, and then we'll move into the market and the announcement and everything going forward.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. So as you guys saw, if you go check our Twitter right now, the ACYC official Twitter, we just released our GitBook, which is basically the repository for all things ACYC, what we are, who we are, what we're doing, how we're doing it, who's behind it. There's a comprehensive list of the members of the team in there, sans a few people. We are filling in even more details, expanding this as we go. But this is everything. It also includes our previous performance reports. It includes analysis into those. It includes what our vision is for the future, our long-term plans, short-term, medium-term, all of the above. It's a great resource for everything ACYC. We are going to be hosting it on our website as well. If you go to acy.capital and then click the docs at the top, I don't know if the website is integrated just yet, but it will be within the next hour. So yeah, that's sort of the place that you can go to learn everything about ACYC, what we're doing. I think that's great. I don't want to dwell too much on ACYC stuff today. There's a good bit to get into, but obviously that announcement is just so crazy. I will say the ACYC Alpha channel for 200 million tokens holders or higher have been absolutely killing it lately. I love to see that. We've seen, multiple 20x's, major gains happening in there. So the holders of ACYC are, getting it back, be it through whitelists and through, the alpha in that channel. Very excited about that. Next to that, touching a little on the Meebits announcement, we sold 3 Meebits for profit today. We booked $12,000 in profits just in under 24 hours, just on Meebits alone, as ACYC, which is very cool. Next to that, I would say, we sort of called the markets pretty good. We've been sitting on the sidelines because the NFT market has just been so inconsistent. We've been pretty adamant about not wanting to put our feet in anything. And so, yeah, there's been a few projects that have pumped here and there, but almost nothing has been sustained volume. And so that was pretty validating. So that's sort of the sped up recap of what there is to cover on the AC side of things, and kind of shifts us into the more market talk, which, yeah, Nate, if you want to start, talking about the market a little more. I know we're shifting our perspective as well with these markets from an investment perspective. We're setting our horizons for a lot of these investments a lot further, and we're going to be focusing gradually over time more on play to earn and things that we think are going to maintain value and build significant value in the next 1 to 3 years, because we're super early in this space. And so packing your bags properly in those avenues is going to be the move. And play to earn is really just DeFi with a mask on. So yeah, I think with that we can dig in more to the market, Nate.
Cool. Yeah. Just tweeting out one more thing, because one more moment.
Yeah, no problem. To expand on that a little bit, the play to earn, NFTs play to earn, it's like the DeFi equivalent for NFTs. And we really want to bring a lot more of our focus there, and still have, be trading meme coins and all that stuff, but also, really shift our focus into concerted plays into things that we think have fundamental value now that will be very valuable later. Realistically speaking, we haven't even seen a Minecraft, or not a Minecraft, we haven't seen a RuneScape, let alone a World of Warcraft for NFTs. So if you equate, where we are in time, it's like being in, 1995, but for NFTs. And so packing your bags properly, especially with the power of a treasury like ACYC, especially in things that are lucrative and provide returns, is going to be the game for us.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Yeah. So, as Margaret's saying, like with ACYC, we are looking more long term and more grand structure of how we want to develop, how we want to go forward, and what we want to be seen as in the future. And not going to get into too many details of our alpha pass coming up, or exactly what we're doing in the next steps. But with the next steps, we will have more of an encouraged community feel and larger, more easily to describe business ventures. So as far as our algorithms go, we're not looking to operate any of our algorithms that we currently have for our community any longer. And it's not because they're not profitable. It's not because our community doesn't deserve profits, to the treasury like that. But in the future, we're not going to be focusing too much on these systems. And so we'll most likely be making them open source for the community to build out with each other. So things of that nature. We'll focus on meme coins. We'll focus on NFTs. We'll focus on DeFi as we've always planned to do, but we'll kind of make it a more refined equation. So in the future, if we try to raise funds in any type, in any way, it will be for a large focus on play to earn and a small focus on meme tokens. I believe meme tokens, everybody should hedge their US dollars, their crypto, and everything with meme tokens, because when those markets run, they run hard. But I think with this recent Bored Ape news of acquiring Larva Labs and kind of having like a monopoly over the market in a way, where before it was, do I buy a Bored Ape, do I buy a punk as my like grand and retiree NFT avatar, and now they're owned by the same company. It's kind of insane. And recently, Bored Apes, Larva Labs in general, not Larva Labs, Yuga Labs in general, has shown that they want to get more into gaming. They have all these game things for a reason, where you can win prizes and all this fancy stuff. But I'm assuming that they're actually serious about the gaming, and so they probably won't actually become Supreme or anything of that nature, but probably competitors to Sandbox or Axie's Infinity or something like that, because they have a new CEO. She's very well spoken, very cool person, and she did an interview. It's on YouTube. I think it got like 6,000 views or something. And she basically talks about how serious they are going forward. And so when you think about what she's saying and what they're doing, it seems like they're tackling the metaverse. It seems like I was about to say in the interview, this woman talks about, the Bored Apes envision a world where everybody can come, create, and join. So I'm assuming the metaverse, and all be under like one umbrella. So I do think Bored Apes are going to go Sandbox, Axie, play to earn, and we think that as well. And so I think a lot of eyes are going to be brought to play to earn. This is a huge move. This isn't like something small where, a minor league WNBA team buys another, semi-pro WNBA team. This is like two giant brands, and one of them being an almost copy, like Yuga Labs, Larva Labs, 10,000 punks, 10,000 Bored Apes, 20,000 Meebits, 20,000 mutants. Like, it's
Nate,
almost copy.
everyone's saying we're cutting in and out. I hear you perfectly though. Maybe we want to. I don't know. Do we want to like close the space and reopen it? Sweet. Okay. And I'm also getting some requests to just go over what we missed before, or what everyone else missed before on the ACYC updates. So I will run through that really quick before we dig in. We'll just pretend that the whole other space has never happened. Website GitBook integration. We have released a formalized document encompassing all things ACYC, and that is hosted on our website, and we shared a recent tweet. You should be able to see everything we're doing, what we're doing, why we're doing it, what ACYC is, our past performance through our analysis of our reports through there. You can also see who is on the team. Almost everybody that's working on ACYC is in this document. There are a few people whose descriptions we are still working out just to finalize those and upload them. But there's a lot of information here. Basically, it's the one-stop shop for all things ACYC. A lot of work went into that. We're very excited about it. So that's where you can go. It's in our most recent tweet, hosted on our website as well, acy.capital. If you click the docs page at the top, if that's not live this second, it will be soon. The Twitter link is a good place to go, though, for it to be live right now. Next to that, I wanted to shout out the ACYC Alpha channel because they've been hitting huge. Had a few 20Xs in there recently in the past week. Been nice to see them winning. If that's 200 million or more ACYC tokens, gets you in there. We do whitelist raffles, and we also just have some really fiery alpha lately. Next to that, we with the markets, we sort of predicted the market spot on. We've been sitting on the sidelines with most of our capital because we know how inconsistent this market is, and it's been proven to be as such. Only a few short pumps of a few specific projects. Almost nothing is sustained right now. We did book over $12,000 in profit in the last 24 hours just on a few Meebits trades, touching a little bit on what we all know is coming, which is a big conversation about the Yuga Labs acquisition. And so that went very well. Got some nice trading in there, made some good money. But yeah, we're staying on the sidelines. Next to that, I did want to touch, we're shifting our focus gradually to taking some very large concerted bets into play to earn. We think that, that is the future. It's like DeFi for NFTs. There's basically no difference between DeFi and play to earn in what it is. And we think, play to earn in the next 1 to 2 years is going to be absolutely massive. And since what we're building is to be here for many years, setting our eyes on the horizon of, things that we think will accrue significant value in that time is our priority at this point. More so over short-term flips, but of course we will be continuing on with meme coins and all sorts of things. And this is going to be, a gradual transition of just shifting our focus more and more towards the play to earn space. I think that is the fast, quick, and dirty summary of what I wanted to say there. And yeah, I think we can sort of dig into the market watch, Nate.
Yeah, cool. Do I sound spotty to anybody?
You sound buttery smooth to me, my friend.
All right, perfect, sweet. Yeah, so I just couldn't let the last conversation go on with spotty, spotty Wi-Fi. Which is great to hear that he'll be able to now own his spotty punk and promote it as his own, entity. So shit. I'll just assume that I don't know how bad that last talk was with how spotty I was. So I'll just assume that nobody got
assume they got nothing, everyone.
Okay, cool. So yeah, for those who just came in, this is me and us going over a 20-minute space that we just had, but it became a little bit spotty. So just gonna summarize it and then add on to it. We are kind of right in the middle of everything, and so we'll just start from the beginning. In the beginning, as Bogart said, is as ACYC. This is just the short little summary. We are no longer going to be doing algorithmic bots. We're not going to be making pans, or not making pans, but using our pan, which is our new listings bot, or any of the other algorithms that we've made as part of ACYC. We're going to narrow down our focus a lot more on what we are and what we are looking to do. And the very short version of what we just talked about is that we believe going forward, making concentrated bets in play to earn and some hedging those concentrated bets with some meme coin plays will probably be the best formula, and just focusing on that while building on the community. And in the future, we plan on our Discord being a community rich of information for any types of trading, any types of people who trade with money, US dollars, stocks, whatever it is, and to be similar to Metaverse HQ without being such a gated community. We're just going to be a giant conglomerate of just people coming together, but this is not going to be NFT focused. So this will kind of be like the crypto side of it all while blending in NFTs, because play to earn right now is kind of transitioning into NFT meets DeFi, uh, with yields and buying assets to then yield from them, such as nodes would be the equivalent for crypto. And like with this Yuga Labs recent like this is kind of like mind blowing in my opinion. It's mind blowing, and I have the same emotions I had the last time we just talked about it. Like it's mind blowing that Yuga Labs just did this because it kind of cements what they're going to do going forward. Um, as far as being compared to like a nice watch, whatever those are, the really 200K ones, super expensive. Instead of being compared to that, uh, the Bored Apes themselves, they can now sit on those with punks, and veer away from becoming like the Supreme or some type of big like merch fashion brand, and actually just become like an overbearing powerhouse. Where, imagine uh, Yuga Labs really does want to do the gaming in the way that they've done it recently. So they've done like these games with these rewards, and that can like the rewards they made for the recent games were kind of sick. Like they motivated you to play, and I'm sure in the future they'll have like merchandise and drops through that type of mechanism in the gaming. But more so, I think they're going to like veer towards becoming like the ACYC meets sandbox of NFTs, and really go after the play to earn for the masses. Their new CEO, she's great, honestly. She looks so professional. It's kind of like what the founders of Bored Ape Yacht Club need is just somebody who can probably keep moving forward, having the conversations and encouraging people to like participate. But she did an interview on YouTube. It's like, I don't know, I think it was like 40 minutes or something, very long. But I took all of that in, and what you get from it is that they're trying to be the center hub of NFTs. They're trying to create a universe or a metaverse. I'm assuming something like a sandbox where all the other NFTs, blue chips, can come in and interact. So you could come in with your Kong, you could come in with your Meebits, and probably build on top of that, because that's what she was encouraging, and they kind of have said in the past. Build on top of that in a way where everybody creates their own journey. All these NFTs can come in and interact, and then on top of that, we have a lot of people within that are building out their own narratives through, having, any type of derivative that they might come up with. So wow, everything just sounds like, to me, the most bullish part about this whole thing is that there's somebody with a lot of money or is encouraging a lot of people to invest a lot of money into something long term. Like this is something that'll pan out over the next 3 years, probably a little bit longer. And that means that we'll have an NFT market for the next 3 years, centered around hype new things. Like shit. Now, what are you gonna do, Facebook? What are you gonna do, Meta? Like this is pretty overbearing. This is a lot. But yeah, so ACYC as a company, like we're gonna be focusing, or as like a project, we're gonna be focusing more on play to earn and meme coins, focusing on that, building out a community. And this Yuga Lab stuff is just, it's beautiful to see at the moment. I know there's going to be a lot more profitable opportunities because of this. Who's going to be the next CryptoPunks? Like CryptoPunks will, some people will hold and they'll be happy, but there are already a lot of CryptoPunks who are holding CryptoPunks and apes. So they already held a CryptoPunk and an ape. But there are, a handful of, how do I say, a lot of the people who carry a lot did not buy an ape and still won't buy an ape. So it's going to be like a race to see where they go. I don't really actually think it's going to be cryptodes. It could be something completely new. I don't think it's MFers either. But still, really curious where that goes. There's a lot of thoughts to be had now. It's almost like you want to sit down. Like I'm still process installed too. Like you want to sit down and think what this means next. But, still the one thing that shines through the most is that it seems like play to earn is the meta. I'm assuming. So if I'm taking like realistic bets right now on what happens next from what I've seen, and I always think to myself like the Bored Ape project itself kind of embodies something that I would do. Like just when you ask yourself general questions, how do we as a company get hundreds of millions of dollars? How do we make this a justifiable purchase? And we can't sell any more avatars. We're done. Like we just said, there's no more, memberships to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Like how do we get more people to give us money, because the OpenSea transaction fees aren't going to cut it long term if they're going to become as large as they want to become. And they keep doing these mobile games, and the interview with the girl, just the woman, the CEO, new CEO, just she didn't really spill anything, and I think the founders kind of already spill stuff too, anyways. But she kind of said it like, "Hey, these are the initiatives we're going to take. This is what we want to become in the future." And they're going to make a huge play in the metaverse. I would assume that the Bored Ape itself, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I don't think that they're going to slow drip tokens, but I think they will give you tokens. But I'm assuming that they'll be involved somehow in the metaverse where you can, accrue royalties on some type of like transactions in the sales, or something that they can make beneficial to the holders. Maybe the holders are, the only ones who can create new, what they would have like as ACYCs. Not sure at the moment, but I would assume that, geez, never mind. That's all I can assume. Everything else is out in the open, but there's going to be a lot of profitable opportunities. And I don't know. Do we want to bring people up, like have them give their thoughts? Because I'd love to
Yeah,
hear what somebody else thinks is going to happen too.
yeah. Well, Barthasian's up here.
Barth, you
Maybe he
here?
has some. Yeah, Barth is up here. Maybe he has some thoughts.
Yo, bro, I just want to say, fuck Lava Labs. Like, literally, the only reason I came up top is to say, fuck Lava Labs. I'm so pissed at this news. You have no idea.
Barth,
I mean,
Barth. I
yeah,
think it's the shittiest thing they could have done for their holders, but
yeah,
also, like, if I was one of two people, give me that money. Like, dude, I don't know how much Bored
I
Apes just
know,
paid
I
them, but
know.
that's so much. They
Yeah,
probably got
I
like,
agree with
yeah,
you. From a creator
yeah,
perspective, if I was on their side, I'd probably taken the same route because it's like there's no liability after that. You don't have to listen to your holders. But they basically were so well positioned, and they had some of the biggest brain community that any NFT project had at the start, that they could have just mobilized such a very good think tank around it. And they basically didn't even like listen to anyone. They were just doing their own shit, and they're like, yeah, fuck, we'll sell to Yuga Labs. So I'm really pissed about that fact. But in the end, I'm happy for them because they've been in it for a while. But seriously though, fuck Yuga, Lava Labs and Yuga Labs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think like Larva Labs had made it pretty clear they weren't planning on expanding, CryptoPunks or that, that ecosystem or putting any focuses or effort into it. So I think, in a sense, maybe there's a glimmer of hope there for, punks and
yo,
Meebits.
yo,
Yeah.
Barth,
hmm
have you been you've been a punk like since before Meebits, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I claim Meebits. I think I've been in punk since 0.7 or something
Okay,
around that
cool.
time.
Because
Yeah.
like I came a couple months before Meebits, and like I was a fan of the punks. Like at the time, like like you said, everybody was super big brain. That's where all the big brains were going. Uh, but for some reason, like when they dropped the Meebits, and after maybe like a few months, when it kind of sank in that they actually weren't going to do anything with the Meebits, that's like when I first got super bearish, Larva Labs in total, because I was like, dude, these guys seem like people who, you know, they weren't motivated to build out something new and innovative. They just like to create simple things and release them. And I think, I don't know, I think long term, this is probably like super bullish for Larva Labs. I mean, for like punk holders, but it's also like the weirdest thing to digest. This is like the most odd thing to digest ever.
Yeah. So I actually think it's actually really bullish for Meebits. For punks, I'm not entirely sure. I think they'll do pretty much the same with or without. But Meebits, it's actually pretty bullish because for a project like Meebits, they need a company that's actually iterating and building upon it. And Yuga Labs so far have shown that they really want to build upon it. And with their current metaverse play and all coming in, so it'll be really good for Meebits. That's the way I see it. With punks, it's kind of like the problem is a large supply of the punks is with like core Web3 believers, which is not exactly what Yuga is caters for. So most of the like the core punk believers aren't a big fan of Yuga, and these are mostly the at the high end or large value large collection holders. So I feel like there'll be a massive sell pressure there in the mid to like midterm sort of thing. So it's kind of like I'm like bullish for Meebits, which is like great, but for punks, I'm like kind of like iffy, like where this will go based on how the sell pressure works.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I take it too. I'd be most worried if I was holding like an alien punk right now, or you know, a very top tier punk. Even though like some of the 3D glasses and stuff are selling right now, like this is a very odd circumstance for the super rare aliens and whatnot, because if they're part of Yuga and Yuga has these mutants that are almost as rare, and 46 gold punk, 46 gold apes, like how the floors are going to be established amongst all, like if you were to put all of this into one giant foreseen. It's just, this is such like a, yeah, this is exciting. This brings excitement to the space for the next short while. But this is absolutely insane. And also something else to digest is that the Deepak dude, the chain CEO or founder, who spent like, I don't know, like $15 million on Bored Apes recently, and then dropped 24 million on an alien punk. It's exciting to see that somebody who's such like a firm believer in Bored Apes did buy like an alien punk for its all-time high. Uh, so that's kind of cool to see. But I wonder how the previous ones would handle this. Gosh, a lot of factors to think about, and a lot of factors to like. I would say for anybody listening to, like, think about what happens next in the market, and see if you can front run it, even if it's outside of Bored Apes and Larva Labs. Like, yeah, there's so much going on right now. I'm still trying to figure out what happens next. And GG gutter rats, GG gutter rats.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I think it definitely highlights like the transition into this play to earn meta. I think where we saw like DeFi summer, we're going to see play to earn summer this time around. And we're definitely going to be positioning ourselves as ACYC to be ready for that, and to just move into this new ecosystem. I think Bored Ape Yacht Club sees the writing on the wall. Yuga knows what's up. I think this acquisition is obviously massive. It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, yeah,
And if we have anyone else who wants to, ask a question or say something, make sure, raise your hand. We're definitely taking people out.
yeah. If anybody wants to raise their hand, ask a question, voice in, feel free to request to speak. Other than that, congratulations to Matt and John. I believe that's the name. The creators of Larva Labs. I'm assuming that these guys probably got like $500 million, something insane like that. Congratulations on to them. Because if you guys really think about like the grand scheme of things too, it's been 5 years. Like they made punks 5 years ago. So in 5 years, they're probably walking out with like almost 300, $400 million each. 5 years, $300 million each. Good job.
Yeah, it's amazing. I brought up Belly Flop Club and Jose to start. If you guys
Yo, what's up?
have anything. Yo.
So, I sold my one Meebit today. It was the first NFT I ever bought, and I sold it today. I went from 1.5 to 4.2. So, great profit, and if I'm not being greedy about it, I should just be happy with it, right? But then the news came out, and now I'm like, fuck. So, are there any signals you think that would have told you to hold longer? Because what I was thinking is that you sell into a pump, right? And the Meebits had just been sitting there forever. So, yeah, anyway, that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is like I think if there's like random volume on some days, like there were rumors flying around. All I saw on Twitter yesterday were like the rumors of this acquisition. Um, And in that case, like, you know, we scooped up a few Meebits. I bought a Meebit. ACYC bought several Meebits around 4 ETH. Because I think this is just such a big deal. So in like, you know, of course, you booked profit. You booked a lot of profit. And like, that's nothing to turn away from. That's awesome. But I think if you're seeing some volume randomly, like it's worth asking why and seeing if maybe it's worth the hold. That's what I'd say there. Maybe Nate has something to add.
Can I add something?
Yo, how long have you held the Meebit?
1.5. I got it, I think, June 10th.
Okay, so did you hold it through that pump where it went to like 12 ETH floor? Just like some random pump when punks were going to 130 ETH, and I believe Meebits went to like some absurd price. No, that was August. That was August of last year. So yeah, you held through the 12 ETH pump. I think the signs were there.
Yeah.
You use OpenSea, right?
Yeah.
You look at like the sales tracker on certain collections,
Right.
and you see like the volume charts.
I haven't looked at volume charts, I don't think.
So if you look at the Meebits one and you look at it in all time, so it shows you all the volume, and also shows you like what the floor was that day, and it almost looks like a crypto chart. If you look at like the last 7 days, you'll see that like volume just kept slowly peaking up. And if you look at all time, you know, whenever there's a massive pump, it's always pumped to about, you know, 11 or 12 ETH floor just randomly, sometimes like 8 ETH. And if you look at today's volume candle, it's absolutely insane. 5,000 Ethereum volume, actually 6,000 Ethereum volume for Meebits, which its all-time volume for a day was 7,000 in the past. So you kind of just like look at the volume and you see like, and if you were looking at this chart, you would also see that the days leading up to the last 7 days, absolutely like almost no volume, just a couple random buys for literal 6 months. And then randomly this last week, we get just like consistent buying pressure. You would always sell into the pump, but you sell into the Euphoria. So you sold at 4.2 Ethereum, but you weren't euphoric. And like I've held Meebits personally for some of them 6 months, like a long time. And it's always just been one of those things where your holders have held for so long, the volume's picking up and there's rumors in the air. Like I would still be holding now. I've sold a few at like 6.8 and 7.5 ETH, somewhere around there. But like I've got a lot I'm holding because, you know, people had their Meebits, they had their punks and all that stuff, but they weren't sure what they could do to build with them. And you know, I think a lot of people heard the Yuga news, and so if it is true, which I still can't believe it's true, you know, I'd still be holding today and probably selling over like the next 2 days, 3 days, because even with Yuga related pumps, like mutants didn't go from 4 ETH to 25 ETH like overnight. That happened over like a 5-month period, 4-month period. So, you know, if you've held something for so long, never sell on the first chance to exit. Like always wait until there's euphoria, and it's always better to sell the dip than it is to sell the rip. Like I like to sell the rip. I think I just sold the beginning of a rip. So yeah, that's how I would think about it more when looking at it. Look at just if you're selling something, you know, look at the volume charts, look at the narrative, look at it all, because you know anything would tell you that Meebits to 7 ETH was happening. But personally, myself, I thought whenever Meebits pumped again, that it'd be the NFT top. So fuck, we might have the NFT top soon.
Okay, and then one last question. Shit, I totally blanked on it. No, I lost it.
Hey guys, appreciate the chat. Wanted to ask your take. Like one of the things that my friends and I had been speculating about and kind of wanting was, you know, Yuga to create a marketplace. Like, how do you think the reality that they just, you know, taking over Larva and now having a marketplace plays out into Ape Token and just kind of the broader potential of the ecosystem?
I mean, yeah. So I've always thought like a marketplace too, because if they do like a sandbox metaverse meets Axie type thing, where they have like their own, marketplace exchange for a bunch of the projects that they own, uh, that I'm not sure if I actually it would make sense if ape token holders benefited from the transaction fees on that somehow if they could do it legally. So that would be something that they could do, because I don't think that CryptoPunks and Meebits will be zero transaction fees, forever. I think Bored Apes definitely bought the brands and bought, the projects themselves so that they could take some of the transaction fees. Because if they can restore those to like the same type of life that Bored Apes get and mutants get and everything of that nature, like they can milk so much more transaction fees. And if they can cut out OpenSea and reward ape token holders, I think that they would do that for sure. That'd be a very good push by them.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate the perspective. It was kind of what we were talking about. Obviously, not understanding all the legalities of where security comes into play, but yeah, it seems like that was a pretty good stroke of genius if that's how they're able to incorporate the marketplace to their ecosystem.
Nate, we also have someone asking, he said, do you have any thoughts on entering the Pixel Vault ecosystem, considering, their play to earn and partnerships with Bored Apes and all that?
Maybe if they acquired Kongs, but otherwise, no.
Right.
I'm going to be honest, like there's a lot of genius going on over at Pixel Vault, but it was Beanie. Like whenever there was announcements, whenever there was any new theory crafting, whenever there was something to be hyped, it was always Beanie hyping it
Right.
and creating it. And now that's not there anymore. And the dude knows how to get your eyes, whether you like him or not. Like Beanie knows how to get your eyes. Beanie's not involved. Whatever Beanie's about to make too, like I'll be sweeping that floor for the next the first week. I'll be buying the dips, because this is kind of his last project, I think, or one of his last big things he puts himself towards. So no, I would just be waiting for whatever unless you morally cannot profit with Beanie, which a lot of people can't. Then maybe Pixel Vault, but otherwise just follow Beanie again, I think.
Nice. Yeah, and I see Riddles here. We brought you up, buddy.
Yeah, what's up, guys? So
Yeah.
I had a random thought. I just saw this news probably like 5 minutes ago, and to me, this just seems like classic business consolidation. So when you have an industry that's coming up, and you have it dispersed with smaller players, you all of a sudden start kind of like the incumbent, if it gets kind of out innovated by the next kind of more the bigger thing, then that gets bought up. And to me, what it's starting to seem like is that Yuga is going to start buying up other projects, probably because you're not going to stop here, because you're going to probably get synergies off of, I don't know, sharing overhead, marketing, dev, whatever. Like, and this just adds like a whole new dynamic to the whole project space, because now it's going to probably force some other people to consolidate also if they want to compete, right? Like you can't just start having like these grassroots projects that start doing well, and maybe you have some good founders and what have you, but like if you're going up against a company that has now like 4 or 5 projects under the same umbrella, right? And then you're going to have to start kind of thinking about a better way to put up a fight, right? So this kind of introduces a very interesting dynamic to the industry, where you start having kind of like a monopoly, oligopoly kind of a structure, and like a winner take most, or like the top kind of 3 big umbrella platforms, so to speak, that are gonna represent different projects. That starts happening, right? And then so I mean that just kind of came in my head right off the bat. And maybe I'm kind of bullish on this move, because I think this type of stuff actually gets more mainstream attention, more institutional eyes, and also it starts like really building a brand. And I think it's bullish for the NFT, kind of like opposite of this being a top. But that's where I see things, and I don't know if you guys kind of had any similar thoughts or comments on that.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is I have a similar perspective. It's from the inside. A lot of us look at like punks and we think like, oh, these are, the OGs in the space and what's going to happen now that they've gone. But it's like realistically, we're so, so early into the NFT space. And like the people who know and care right now are so like small. It's a modicum of where we're going. So like you said, yeah, acquisitions are normal. They happen. I think overall it's bullish for the space. It's nice to see big players changing hands. I think it'll, long run expand the ecosystem. And I think for most people, it won't ever matter. It'll be a footnote in history for the people who like were here before. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say there. Maybe Nate, you have some thoughts.
I mean, like,
Um,
yeah, go ahead,
uh,
Nate.
oh yeah. So I was just gonna add a couple things to that too, because like everything you just said is definitely like what's happening. And I hope happens too, because it'll be so much harder to, jump on the scene and think that you can compete with anybody other than just being a profile picture. Um, which is good and bad, but also I still, everything brings me back to being kind of bearish long term. Uh, or even like medium term. Like I'm probably bearish like October, like after this October, I probably will think that we have more people in NFTs losing money than making money. Before I thought it'd be March, which is this month, which is true. I literally, it is March, and in October, around September, October, I always said like March is when I'd get out of NFTs, because it just, if we were gonna have one last wave, which I always thought this a big last wave would start when people start hoarding apes and mutants for the ape token, because the team announced it in like September, October, that quarter one next year that they were gonna have it. So it's like, okay, everyone's gonna buy it. They're gonna go super hype. That's why like I bought mutants, and there's gonna be a lot of volume. People are gonna be super dumb as they always are, and a bunch of scams and lose our ecosystem a lot of money. Like I made a post the other day that OpenSea and its creators took 150 mil in the last 30 days in secondary transactions. Like 150 mil is absolutely an insane amount of money to make in 30 days for transacting JPEGs. That's, Binance in 2020 made 500 mil. So in 1 month, OpenSea made 150 mil, and Binance, the giant exchange, made 550 mil in 2020. But to like tie all that in together, I think that a lot of people are going to, you know, instead of giving JPEGs to each other, they're going to start giving money to these projects. Like Bored Ape Yacht Club is going to ask for a lot of money multiple times. CloneX is going to come and keep asking for money multiple times. Not CloneX, Artifact, RTFKT, whatever. They're going to come asking for a lot of money. Like the writing's on the wall. Artifact is going to do a 100K or a 200K profile picture collection, because their creators always kind of leak it on Twitter what's going to happen next. Like, oh, hey guys, we're going to have a lot more members of the community joining soon, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's a 100K collection. They're going to do it and they're going to sell it. It's not going to be like a benefit to their holders. But Bored Apes are going to do the same thing, and we're going to have the most net money taken out of the ecosystem in a short period of time, coming up over like the next 6 months, to the point where everybody's kind of just like lost money from joining in. Like, oh, I hope that somebody else buys this bag for my 100K collection. Like, this is going to be insane.
So,
Yeah.
yes. So no, Nate, no, like, I mean, that's definitely interesting, right? I think like my opinion of that is a little different, right? So, as you start kind of, and it comes to question whether you're saying that like most of the people lose money because they're not betting on the fastest horse, or is it that the fastest horses will start losing money also, right? And I think that's like,
No, it's not that. It's that everybody. So here's the reality of the game we all play with NFTs. If I put $100 into something and you put $100 into something and I take
yeah,
out 150, there's no way you can take out more than 50, because I took out
right.
150. Yeah, and so
But
here's the issue. Here's the issue that we're playing. Everybody is going to start like Bored Apes and these other projects know how much they're going to make in revenue from us, the year before. Like, they have all these planned. And what I'm trying to say is, like, if I buy a Bored Ape from you for 150K, you now have 150K, I have your Bored Ape. We're both in the NFT sphere, and you might spend that 150K on some other project you like. But we're going to start giving the most amount of money we've ever given to an outside organization. So, like, if we give money to Bored Ape Yacht Club or Artifact, like if we give Artifact 90 mil, Artifact won't be spending that back on an NFT. They'll be putting that in the US dollars and paying their employees. So what I'm saying is, we are going to give so much of the current money in NFTs to to Yuga Labs, to Artifact, to all these projects. We just did that in the past with all these mints. We are going to give them so much money, and it's not going to be transacted back into the NFT sphere. It's not going to be like, oh, play to earn this money. It's like, no, we're going to put that in US dollars and pay our employees and pay ourselves. So what I'm saying is, I'm bearish on the amount of US dollars leaving the NFT sphere permanently.
So like, and thanks for sharing that, Nate. So my opinion of I think this kind of playing out, right, is one key assumption that you made is that it's like a closed kind of ecosystem, right, from a value add perspective. So the way that I look at the NFT space is that every time a new project comes on and it's, let's just say this is like a real estate NFT, or this is a wine NFT, or this is an art NFT, it's not necessarily sucking liquidity out of the rest of the project so much as it is sucking liquidity out of other use cases in the real world that are now being replaced by the NFT space, right? So it's eating various stores of values across real paintings, real gold, whatever other kind of areas people used to store value or spend entertainment dollars or spend on services or parts of being communities. Maybe you're not going to, pay for the same kind of country club fees that you now might pay for a community membership, right? So so this NFT space to me is still very early because like not many people still properly understand what it is. They don't have a MetaMask. They can't really figure some stuff out, right? So as with any space, what I think tends to happen is that, like, I do think people will lose money. I do think things will go bearish, right? But it's not that the fastest horses or the biggest projects. Like, essentially what's going to end up happening, I think, is that someone's going to issue some type of a crappy project that's probably going to be a rug pull, or not even a rug pull, like hopelessly optimistic about what they can do. Then they're going to realize that they can't do that. People are going to plow in the money. Then they take that money and sure, there's some overhead employee costs, or maybe the people themselves kind of keep it and spend it on real estate or other stuff outside of the NFT ecosystem. But more often than not, what tends to happen is a bunch of new money that enters the ecosystem that's kind of eaten away from other real world use cases that's entering the NFT ecosystem, then kind of bets on some of these crappy projects. Some people are left holding the bag. The people that end up making profit off of bag holders, so to speak, of these bad projects, then flow that money and funnel it into the blue chip projects, thereby a perpetual cycle of feeding capital into the blue chip projects, who are then now able to do more and offer more and market more and add more utility, right? So it's almost like it's because it's kind of like crypto in like 2017 or 2019, 2017 or 2013 is how I see the NFT space now. The difference is, in my opinion, from the crypto world and the NFT world, is that I think that the cycles are a lot smaller. So in the past, the crypto cycles used to be like 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Now the NFT cycles seem to me like 6 month cycles almost. It's almost like March there's a cycle, goes through Metcalfe's law and adoption and all of that stuff. This is like Metcalfe's law on steroids because it's tokenized. But not only is it tokenized, you can have sentimental value to like different kind of tokens or whatever, right? There's a uniqueness component to it. I do believe in kind of like a weird world where everything that's non-fungible is going to be tokenized in like one way or another through experiences or whatever. So if we're getting to a point where now finally, yes, you see some people with like kind of Twitter profile picture authentications or other kind of PFP stuff, and Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, like none of the rest of the world. It's just this like crypto Twitter kind of a bubble, echo chamber that we live in. So we see like a lot of people, and we think that NFTs have really, this is huge, right? This is massive volume, right? But I think about what NFTs really are, and this type of an asset class has never existed in the past, right? So I'll give World of Women. I'm a WoW holder, and I'll give this example. Never has there been an asset that goes up on Christie's against a Picasso that's also tradable on a 24/7 exchange, that also is a token to the biggest art community, that also gives you rights to build businesses on top of, across a platform that's going to start building businesses across different verticals, who are then going to benefit from all of the other businesses and the brands that are going to kind of come from it, right? So to me, there's just like, this type of asset class cannot be like, if paintings are going for millions of dollars, and that's just a painting, that's just like a status kind of bragging symbol or whatever, this type of dimensional asset class that's allowed to kind of be benefit from digital commerce and has like a worldwide access, and the money starts flowing from all corners of the globe. I think that people are massively underestimating how to value some of these projects. And therefore I don't see personally any type of bear market, because if NFTs are what I think NFTs will be in 5 years, like these type of projects, if they actually end up becoming the Disneys, right? Because Disney at one point wasn't Disney. Big conglomerates at one point weren't big conglomerates. These are some type of, a couple of these conglomerates are going to come out of here, just like how Google came out of, the internet boom, right? There's a bunch of search engines probably doing nothing, and everyone's like, hey, what the hell is a search engine going to do? Next thing you know, Google's like directing traffic all over the world, right? So it's an evolution of, I think, kind of projects and where these things go, and that's my kind of vision for it. Obviously, in this space, everyone has their own opinions, but I just wanted to kind of say that out loud.
Yeah, no, so I agree. I'm very much of the same ilk that, eventually we're going to see everything tokenized, be it identification and home records and insurance and, voting systems, all that. I think we're very early into the NFT space. That being said, having gone through bear markets before, I also believe in crypto in the long term. I believe that'll replace a lot of our, financial systems. Does that mean that it won't have a massive bear market before that happens? No, it doesn't. And I would guarantee we will. And the same thing goes for, Google or Amazon. Like, yes, Google is a giant powerhouse now. Did they experience several major crashes to get there? Yeah, they absolutely did. So I think you're right. We are heading in the long term, to a great place. And the projects that are gems now that survive till then will be massive. I mean, I have an absolutely gargantuan bag of cyberkongs because I see them doing the same thing in the space. Do I think it's going to be up only though? No, I think we are going to see a bear market. And I think, the impetus for that is going to be some, big drains of liquidity from the market. Next to that, I also brought up Eugene, and I'm bringing up Poe too.
I just wanted to add one thing to finish that off too, because Riddles, I think you are exactly correct, and I believe what you're saying as well too. I just think that you were probably here in 2017. Like, I feel the exact same way. I felt mid 17. Were you here 17?
I wasn't in the NFT space 17, no.
Oh no, like crypto, just crypto in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in 2017, we all saw the possibilities of crypto, and we all saw them being built, and we all kind of same thing with what you're saying. We understood we began to understand what it should be valued at, and it just felt like right now we're in NFTs, we're mid 2017. The beginning of 2000. Yeah, it hasn't started yet, because this is the first time that everyone's together is seeing what we can build with this, and the startups feel the exact same. We are giving these crypto people who, mint out a 10K collection at 0.08, 2.4 mil every time we mint them out, which was, quite often. And back in the day, that was the same thing as ICO season,
Yeah.
except for these ICOs only got a mil. But like what I'm saying is like I'm super long term bullish NFTs. I would just assume this following scenario plays out a little bit more, where we have less mass, buying and selling of NFTs on Ethereum, and it becomes more selective. And during this time, NFTs don't die, but a lot of the projects do, like a lot of the ones with no purpose. And nobody wants to buy them. They're pretty much done forever. Founders leave. And we still have these massive people come out like Yuga Labs, which would be like the Binance of the bear market, where in the bear market, Binance token just kept going up. Binance token never saw a bear. It only saw a bull. And I think Yuga and some other people could be like that, but it'd be more safe for like people. I think people will lose money if they just hold NFTs for the next 12 months, as compared to do research on coins, because it really does feel like Bitcoin's about to rip. Like Bitcoin feels to me like it's about to like moon over the next few quarters. It might have a little bit more of a retrace, but it's not over for Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin moons, Ethereum won't moon as much, and alt tokens won't moon as much. And I think we'll hit an alt season where we try to readjust all those prices, and then everything's correcting, and then everybody remembers what NFTs are, and maybe we move back then at that time when real projects have kept building. Because I just feel too much excitement in NFTs. It's just at a point right now where there are so many things that need to, people need to realize that it's not going to work, whatever idea it is at the moment, and we need to focus more on what will work and mass adoption too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I think Nate, we're saying like kind of similar things, I guess, across different time horizons, right? And that's a great analogy with Binance. The analogy that I would use is almost like it almost feels like Bored Ape with this acquisition is kind of becoming like a Bitcoin or like an Ethereum of the space, right? Where yes, it might go through kind of some lulls, like you mentioned, right after like 2017, and then when it starts kind of picking up and ripping again, it's gonna rip to like new highs. And I also think that, and I completely agree about the Bitcoin point as well as an aside, but I also think what's interesting in the NFT space is that the cycles are not like 3-year cycles anymore, just because it's like everything on steroids, right? And it's such a smaller kind of space. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out, but I definitely do appreciate that other speakers are kind of up. So, and
all right,
thanks for the exchange, guys.
yeah, no problem. And I think we're saying the same thing. It won't be like a 3-year bear, but 12 months will feel the exact same. All right, Margaret, who else did you bring up?
I brought up Eugene and Poe. So Eugene, if you're up here.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yo.
Thanks for having me on. By the way, Nate, I follow you. I like all your stuff, man. It's really dope. I like your thought process on a lot of that crypto stuff and NFTs. But so I want to come up so I'm fairly new in the NFT space, but I got my first NFT mid-August, and but I feel like I'm like an expert now, and because it's 8 months in, it feels like forever. But I'm looking at what just happened with apes and punks getting in, and I have a mutant, I have cats, and I try to buy NFTs that I think have a long-term value. Try to buy at 2-3 years that like I don't really flip them. I try to buy and hold and see value in what I'm buying. And one big portion of why I buy stuff is the developers or who runs the project and what they're doing. So I have 4 cats, right? I'm on their calls every week, and I hear what they're doing, and I like what they're trying to do and how they're doing it. Wouldn't it be really bad? Because if I invested, so I've been looking at an ape now that it's at 70, my price point is like 55, 60. If it gets down there, I'll try to get one. But if I just bought a punk for 70, whatever it was, 60, 70, 80, and I invested, $200,000, $300,000, which is the price of a small house in Ohio, I'm buying the project, the founders, the history, and all of a sudden, big portion of my investment is gone because now it's being run by apes, more or less, and by their visions and their ideas and what they're trying to do. Isn't that really bad for the NFT community? Like long term, I'm trying to think big picture. Like if I don't know if the projects that I'm investing in and what they're trying to do, and I'm investing in the founders and the mission and the roadmaps, all of a sudden gets switched. So I'm basically playing the market again.
If you buy a punk right now, that's what you're saying, right? Or
I
if
mean,
you had just
if
bought a
I bought
punk.
a punk a week ago, right? I'm sitting on 80 ETH, right, and I'm going, okay, what do I want to buy? And I'm like, shit, I like the punks, I like the history, I like what they're doing. I don't like what apes are doing, for example. I don't like what the Kongs are doing. I don't like what the cats are doing. I like what the punks are doing. And then I buy it, and a week later, they're selling, they're taking profits, and now I ended up buying into the Bored Apes community versus what I bought initially. Like, isn't that bad? Because a lot of times that happens in the market. I buy something, company gets bought and sold, and you might not like what you end up having.
I think in pretty much like every scenario, yes. Aside from maybe just this exact, how this all came together, because being in touch with the punks community and the Bored Apes community, you could see the needs of both, and all the punks community wanted that they didn't have was like communication with the founders and rights to their punks. Maybe you've heard of punk 4156. He was an ape punk, and he sold I think $10 million of punks because Larva Labs, Matt and John wouldn't respond to him. He tried for a long time, and he also is like one of the creators of Nouns. He sold all of his punks because he didn't have control of his punks, and the founders wouldn't, respond to him. And a lot of the people's concerns that own punks are, one, Larva Labs, they've made a lot of shitty moves. Like, there's nothing actually impressive about the founders in terms of the things they've done, because they signed to a talent agency, which nobody wanted. Everybody, that did not pump the news, that dumped it. They made Meebits, but they had no roadmap for Meebits. They actually pretty much confessed that they made Meebits and hoped that the community would just run with it without like complete knowledge of what actually they own. And so I would say that this is like bullish for punks and Meebits, because now if you own a punk, it's your punk. You own the rights to it. Bored Apes, Yuga Labs has made that known. And if you own your Meebit, you own the rights to that as well. You can build with it, and you're included in this giant community of Bored Apes. I think the punks community can be everything it was and more with this new deal going forward, now that they've lost their two founders. Because even this past year, Bored Apes have probably spent, like, I don't know actual numbers, but probably somewhere between like $4 and $8 million, or fucking $10 million, on marketing and hype and everything that goes along with that. And I'd assume that Larva Labs has probably spent like 200K on some meals. So I would think this is bullish for the punk. I would think that they got lucky that it was them and not like some other giant uh, Facebook or Google or anything like that. So I think it's bullish.
Right. Yeah. I
Well,
was thinking the
well,
same
no,
thing.
wait,
I
hold
saw
on.
some people. I was just
Sorry,
going to
just one question. I
add.
guess my question was more of not just this individual event, but moving forward for the NFT community. Is it a good thing or a bad thing where now projects are going to be buying each other and blending roadmaps and blending their communities and blending everything? Is it like, I know in this case it's a good thing, but big picture, next 20 years, 30 years, NFTs are going nowhere, right? Is it a good thing, big picture?
I think it's always going to be a case by case basis. There are going to be cases where it's good and where it's bad. I think something also to note is it's like the internet in the early 90s. Like, there are so many good ideas that so many places are having, but there's execution risk and there's the inability to deliver. And so having like large conglomerates that are able to do so, have proven track records, and are willing to, take over projects and help do that, I think that is going to be really big. And something to note too is like NFT communities are not tied to the NFT creators. So like punks are still punks. They still have punks chat. Like, that's not going anywhere. It's not like merging with Bored Ape chat. Community is a totally separate thing, and I think it's important to foster that and keep that, uh, not segregated, but not integrated either. Um, I think that's what I would say there. And I was also just going to say, to sort of add to Nate's point, like, yeah, I'm very happy it's not something like Meta or like Alphabet acquiring punks, because at least like the people who are getting it are native to the NFT space. And we are going to be seeing acquisitions from larger players who aren't as well informed. You know, you have your Nikes that are coming into the space that are not native to this. So at least we can know that it's in like hands of people familiar to what's happening.
I
Yeah, can I
appreciate, guys. Thank you.
add? Yeah, can I add something quickly, Eugene, to that? I think what is also interesting to kind of note is that no matter what project you buy into, there's going to be a random kind of event that happens that changes like your whole thesis and the whole trajectory of that project, right? And in this case, partnerships and acquisitions are one of them, right? And back to kind of the point that Bogart was making, I think that it's kind of like how Toyota buys Lexus, right? And you have a Lexus brand that kind of operates by itself, but there's all these other synergies, and then the people that buy a Lexus are very different from the people that buy Toyota. And then those two cars, if an average person were to think about it, they wouldn't know that those companies are owned by each other, right? And the same goes with like Honda, Acura, and other stuff. So I think it's that similar model that most businesses kind of operate under. That's just now going to have to be a part of the NFT projects.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's great. And
Yeah.
now,
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say too, because I recognize the question now. Yeah, I think it's bullish long term. I had a couple projects that, I bought some pudgy penguins on the dip when they were at like 0.6. And I've never liked pudgy penguins simply because Cole and was profited off of them, but they mooned when there was rumors that 7x7, or I think it's 9x9x9 was going to buy pudgy penguins, and that could have brought new life to that project. And another one too, galactic apes. Hold a lot of galactic apes, loved the vision, but the creator turned out to be a scumbag and left and ditched the project. And if somebody capable of building that out were to come in and acquire it and build on top of that and make it successful again, revive my bags, I would be so happy. But if any random projects get if it doesn't make sense and they get merged, then that sounds, I would be pissed off if I was a holder. Yeah, definitely.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thank you.
yeah, great. And yeah, Poe, I added you up here.
What's up, guys?
Very patient waiting. Hey.
Yeah, what's going on? I have a question, and I'm not sure if it's been discussed, but does this make us bullish long term on punks?
I'm interested to hear what Nate thinks. I'll drop my less familiar take on it. I think it's more bullish for floor punks, less bullish for rare punks at this point. That's my take.
Essentially, it's becoming a secondary product now. No?
Right, exactly. Larva or Yuga is in the position to do that. It's like, why spend 2,000 ETH on a punk? But I do think that they're separate enough. I'm interested though also to see what you think, Nate.
I mean, I think they're properly valued. Like, I think this brings proper valuation to them, because if you own an ape and you're going to get access to the market fees and whatever else they build out, and if you get like holders privileges for owning the ape and owning stuff in the ecosystem of Yuga Labs, then long term, I think an ape and members of that will get more ROI than a punk. But to just hold a punk and hold a collectible, and to hold it for what it is and to own the rights to it, I do think 200K to 300K is more sustainable now because of the things mentioned earlier on how Larva Labs just, it does not feel good to not feel heard, and Larva Labs never made anybody in their community ever feel heard, and actually people just felt like Larva Labs didn't understand them because they just make the dumbest decisions on everything. So more bullish on people running the project that will actually reply to a DM sometimes. So yeah, long term, I'd say that makes us more bullish on it's gonna be so weird not saying Larva Labs on CryptoPunks, because now Larva Labs represents just Autolist.
Honestly, I think I'm more bullish on punks long term now, because now it's like turning on a light switch. Like, oh, now we have communication. Now we have someone we could talk to, someone that could be there for us, someone that's giving us IP rights. people who actually care about us, as opposed to whatever punks were doing before, which is not much for the community.
Yeah, I think it's bullish. I think it's bullish for the space in general, at least like this in this moment. And I think like anyone who's here in the NFT space is committed to what we are building long term. There will be ups and downs, but I think certainly, in the long run, all of this is going to be good. And we're early enough where it's not like earth shattering.
Nate, could I ask you a question that's not revolving around Yuga?
Yeah, what's up?
What are your thoughts on Mr. Capital's ADU?
I bought some just for exposure to it in case it turned into something. But no, nothing in general. It was a cool thing he did.
I mean, I have an interesting objection, I guess, to that. I think it's like super crappy. I think like he released it under the guise of just like, and let's donate to Ukraine, and then like secretly slips in a like, this is funding our treasury tax. If you want to do a good thing, donate all the money. Don't take like half of it for your treasury.
And this
like,
is where I am on the other side of that, where a lot of the people in MCC are like the shitcoin crypto pumpers who like call out stuff online. So if another token is going to come out doing donations to Ukraine of like 5% of tax of sales tax goes to Ukraine, 5% to the project, then why not? If you have all those shillers and influencers holding your token, then you might as well make it yourself.
I think it's smart.
Yeah. So, but
no,
Right.
I think it's super smart. But like, if it was a genuine thing, he would donate into
no,
it.
it's definitely not genuine.
But
Right. That's what I mean.
Let's look. I want to look at the writing on the wall here. I mean, I'm sure you guys all know Eric and Skull and all these guys. Aside from replying to the tweet, not a single one of them have supported the movement yet. And I mean, there's a lot of top holders in there, so I'm sure that's probably a big reason why. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. I think it's super smart. I don't think it's morally admissible. That's where I land on
I
it.
think it's a double-edged sword. I mean, look, any donation is a great donation, and at the end of the day, he did raise 250 to 300K for Ukraine. So let's give him a good hand for that. Is he going to pump it further because it could look bad on his part? Is really the question here. I'm not sure.
Right, and I think something that kind of speaks volumes to how he considers the project is the fact that like there's no actual telegram, there's no like official announcements for it, there's like no effort to turn it into something that's like genuine thus far. So I am bearish, to say the least, as much as people can pump it.
It's funny. He launched it like he launched it a few days ago, and people spotted it in from the Treasury wallet. And then it got traded for a very little bit. And then people were on the spaces the other day, like an MCC spaces with this guy Dojin. And someone came out to the spaces like, hey, Mr. Capital just launched this 2 days ago. And this is what it is. And people started aping it. And it went to, $2.5 million market cap. And then it just dumped down to like 800K because it didn't look like the people in MCC really wanted to support it. But then all of a sudden, there was FUD. Eric came in the chat. He said, "This guy's smoking crack. I don't know what the hell this guy's doing." Referring to Mr. Capital. Give me some. I want whatever he's smoking. And basically, I saw like they didn't really get support from the callers like I thought they would. But again, this guy, Mr. Capital. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but he's got big brains. Like, why would he do this? Why would he put in all this effort, launch it on 3 different chains for nothing? And then today, about 5 hours ago, he changed the Treasury wallet. He named it Incubation.Multichain Capital. So I think he's got something cooking behind the scenes. And I think UDC was a test for us, and that he may be deploying something else under the umbrella of the MCC V1 contract that we all love.
Right. I mean, I think using his platform as an incubator for other releases is definitely. I mean, there's no doubt he knows how to make some money. Whether or not he handles, community relations or whatever super well, I think, there could be an argument made there that maybe isn't the case. But yeah, it's interesting to see what they're doing. I think it's like a sandcastle to build something where like their multi-nodes as they're built right now, they rely on a larger influx of capital than they're receiving, and that's the reason to release ADU. It's to pay for the multi-nodes. Um, which I know he wasn't even a fan of setting up in the first place. But I think what you're doing is you're building a house of cards. It's like NFT projects whose utility is purely just whitelist. Like you can't that's not a sustainable model. You're not actually building anything of substance there. So it will work. I'm sure they'll do fine. But yeah, that's my take on it.
I think long term MCC will play out in some beneficial way, for sure. I think he's going to figure it out, but I don't know if UDC will be the answer. But I'm still bullish on it somewhat. I think he has something up his sleeve for us.
Yeah, and I know I speak with Dojin, and I know Dojin is kind of banking on the same thing. He's saying, I hope he has something else in mind for this, and it isn't just like a grab for MCC. And so I think we'll definitely see. Time will tell. Very interesting take, very interesting thing to have done. It kind of switched the script a little bit, but yeah. Sweet. And then, yeah, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Otherwise, we can start wrapping this thing up. I think it's a good spaces. Again, go to acy.capital, check out the docs at the top of the page. Recently released, tons of info about what we're doing here. Yeah, very excited to be moving into this play to earn space, setting our horizons a little farther, keeping up with you guys. Yeah, I think that's that's it. If no one else has anything to say, Eddie, if you have some thoughts on Yuga and Larva Labs, I'd love to hear what you think, Eddie. And we got Terrence here. I'll let you up as well. Not going to end it with the hand raised.
I had a quick question. So, as far as the acquisition between Yuga Lab and Larva Lab,
Hey.
hi, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I had a quick question out of curiosity. As far as the acquisition with Larva Lab and Yuga Lab, what does this mean for Meebits in the long term, in your guys' opinion?
Yeah. So I think it is bullish in the sense that Larva Labs wasn't doing anything, and maybe Yuga will. I think Yuga is going to be making a big play, understanding this whole metaverse thing. I think they're going to be making a play over there, and I think that Meebits are going to now be a part of that. So I think I'd say bullish for Meebits.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Nate has another perspective. I think he sees it similarly, though. Let's see.
Yeah. I see it the same. Literally, the entire response to that question is Larva Labs wasn't going to do anything, and Yuga might do something. So definitely more bullish on
Yeah,
Meebits.
you like that one?
Yeah, because it's what it is. Larva Labs, like I've seen it since I really started to understand this space. Larva Labs has never had intentions on. There's no roadmap. It's just, we think that these, and if you really look at the history of Meebits and Larva Labs created something, a project. It's on their site actually for an Android app, where they made a bunch of avatars for the Android phone applications. I can't see the name of it right now because they just removed it from their thing, I believe. It's called Andrify with Google, and it looks like Meebit with Android shaped heads instead of Meebit shaped heads. Like these dudes just do what they want or what they want to build. They build it and just leave it, and it's gotten them this far. Yuga is going to listen to what we want and try to help build it with us. So interested in, like, God, I never saw this narrative playing out, but I'm more bullish on Meebits than I've ever been my entire life, and I've never really been that bullish on Meebits to begin with. Because like now something might get done, which is cool. It's cool that there might actually be something. Yeah. Otherwise, these things are about to die. Like Meebits DAO didn't get any funding. At least now some people get paid to try to build it out. So yeah, bullish for Meebits in the long and short term.
Okay, great. Thank you guys for your response. And I agree. I think it's looking more bullish. I just want to see if you guys have the same outlook, which pretty much sounds like, yeah, we're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, Larva Labs made it so abundantly clear they weren't going to do anything. So hopefully
But
Yuga
then
will.
again, there is a scenario that plays out where, Meebits become the bastard child of Yuga, where, Punks holders, just imagine this universe where Punks holders never really liked Meebits. They left a bad taste in their mouth, and it's really hard to become somebody new to this space and think Meebits are a better buy than Clone X or something. So, Meebits long term, I wasn't bullish at all before, and now I'm slightly bullish, but not enough to hold my Meebits and not put a price on them. So, wouldn't really suggest hodling one forever though. I'd always plan for an exit.
Right. I mean, I think something to note too with this whole acquisition is like it puts Yuga in a great position to also do nothing with Punks and Meebits if that's what they wanted. They could just let that always be second to Bored Ape Yacht Club. So there's a take to be had over on that side of things as well.
Quick question. Do you guys consider it a good buy at 7 ETH, which I think the floor is right now? It's shooting up, but would you buy right now or would you only consider it a sell?
I sold my Meebit for 6.85 like an hour ago. So for whatever
And
that's worth.
and I would buy one at 7 only if I planned on listing it at 8.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
as
I get the gist.
ACYC, we also sold our Meebits into this pump.
For sure. Definitely not buying at the moment then. Just curious.
Yeah, and now that it's Yuga and Meebits already had a bunch of holders, and Yuga's like more people might be inclined to start actually buying some Meebits. Could be wrong. Like I still hold I think like 8 Meebits or 9 Meebits on my personal account, but I have been selling at 7.5, and I would continue to sell everything up to like 10. And then after that, I don't really care because Meebits are Meebits, and if we ever hit a NFT bear, I'll get them for 3 ETH again.
Okay. Just curious. Yeah, we're on the same page there too. All right. Thanks again for your guys' feedback.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And if that's it, I think we can call it here. I think that was a pretty well-encompassing space. Catch everyone up on ACYC and the state of the markets now. I think it was pretty good.
Cool. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Fun time. We'll do this again next week. And this is Nate. I'll still be talking about my feelings on the market here and there because we're about to be entering our future is being sculpted right now, and curious to see how it is. But also may just focus on play to earn and tokens. I mean, not tokens, but crypto, and look away from the rest of NFTs because wow, insane news. All right, cool. We'll just call it there and talk next week. Thanks for everybody coming up with questions. Thanks for everybody coming to listen. Don't be afraid to stop in our Discord or listen to any of our recordings on our YouTube. And until next time, catch you guys later.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Goodbye.